guys, what's going on? It's Mysteria here. I'm going to play another game today. I'm going to be playing another King Quest game. I'm actually going to play the one before 7. I'm going to play 6, and it's called Heir Today, Gone Tomorrow. We play as Prince Alexander and not Princess Rosella. And we get into some shenanigans with a few islands. So let's go. 1992, 1993, and there was 2 makes of this version of this game. There was 2 versions of this game. One was completely, you had to read it completely, everything, every response, everything, and then they redid it with audio, so that way, you know, Prince Alexander had a voice, and everybody had voices, so then you could listen. So just like the first one, we're gonna do the opening, which is kind of cheesy, but that's what we're gonna do.
Alexander, here you are. Oh, you're still not thinking about Cosima, are you?
I suppose I am.
Son, it's been months. You've got to pull yourself together. After all, you only met her that once.
I know.
Have you discovered anything about the land of the Green Isles?
No. No one's even heard of it. It's like she's just vanished.
I wish I could help. Please try to think about something else, dear.
I'll try, Mother.
Despite his family's concern, Alexander remains tormented by thoughts of Cosima. So for the longest time, when I was a teenager,
Alexander, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. Alexander, I wish you were here.
my online name
Cosima.
and everything was
Wait,
Cosima.
Mother! Mother, come quick!
So that's
Alexander,
Lady
what on
Valenice, by the
earth?
way.
You're white as a ghost.
Mother, I saw Cosima. She was in the mirror.
Green
In the
Valenice of
mirror?
Daventry.
The magic mirror?
Yes! And it showed me how to find her.
How?
The stars! I saw the stars outside her window. I can navigate by the stars.
Oh, Alexander, if you really go...
It will be all right, Mother. I promise.
3 long months, Prince Alexander sailed the known seas and beyond. I've got my coffee, since it's still fairly early. I don't function well without it. Look at this animation. This animation was awesome for 1991 to 93. This is like revolutionary animation, like computer graphics at that time. I know we all scoff at it now like it's not as great, but This was pretty awesome. I mean, it was like watching a cartoon, like a movie on your computer. It was amazing.
Land ho! Land ho! Land ho!
As the ship nears the shore, day turns to night and the sea turns violent. Uh-oh. 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 The music's picked up. Uh-oh. Not good. Well. I'm no sailor, but I don't think that's any good. Okay. So that's the introduction. That's the opening sequence. So that's how we come to be where we're at when we start the game. Composer. So he's looking for Cosima. Cosima is somebody that he met in King Quest V, very briefly. And I guess ever since, he's been pining for her. Pining. That's a word that you can use.
Alexander awakens to find himself on an unfamiliar beach. For a moment, he is too dazed to remember how he got here. Then he does remember. The shipwreck, the sea. Just as he had seen his men safely into the lifeboats, a gigantic wave picked him up and tossed him overboard into the churning sea. That was the last he'd seen of his crew.
Damn.
Debris from the shipwreck is scattered along the shore, but of the lifeboats and his men, there is thankfully no trace. He can only hope and pray that the lifeboats survived the currents, and that his men made their way safely back to Devontree.
Okay, so now we have found ourselves on this beach, and we have a few things here. This is a little bit different than the other one. I can come up here. I have an inventory. I've got my settings. I've got the ability to talk, look, touch, and walk. You can also do it by right-clicking, so I don't have to go up there. So let's kind of look around, see what we got.
The remains of Alexander's sailing ship lie dashed upon the distant shore.
Dashed. dashed.
The beach is covered with a fine-grained white sand.
Cool. Alright. There's something shiny over here.
Alexander's royal insignia ring lies abandoned on the sand. It must have slipped from his finger during the shipwreck. Fortunately, it was not lost in the sea.
Alright, well, let's grab it.
Alexander picks up his royal insignia ring from the beach.
Let's move this plank.
Alexander pushes the plank to one side. A box has been partially buried under sand.
Alright. There's something shiny.
There's a copper coin in the treasure box. The coin bears the seal of Daventry and King Graham's noble face. Alexander takes the coin and leaves the ruined box where it is.
Alright, so let's continue on. Let's go over this way first. I always go over this way first, I don't know why. There's a castle in a town. I always go toward the castle. Alright, well, let's go talk to you guys.
Alexander politely addresses the odd-looking guards at the castle doors, hoping to learn more about his predicament.
Good day to you, guards. I was cast upon this island in a storm, and I'm a little confused about my location. Could you tell me what place this is and who lives in this castle?
Hey, what is that you say? A castaway? A likely story. We haven't had any foreigners in this part since Alhazared arrived.
Don't be so rude, Gruff. He's not asking for any secrets. You're standing on the Isle of the Crown, lad, and this is the Castle of the Crown. The royal family resides here. Rather, what's left of the royal family.
The Isle of the Crown. But tell me, am I anywhere near the land of the Green Isles?
This is the land of the Green Isles. The Isle of the Crown is the main island, foolish boy.
Then Princess Cassima must live in this very castle.
Aye, the princess is indeed our treasure jewel to guard, and we consider it an honor.
Okay.
Excuse me, guardsmen, guard dogs. I've been traveling for months to see Princess Cassima. I would like an audience, please.
I'm sorry, but the princess is not receiving visitors, particularly not strangers.
Okay, well.
Alexander decides to show his royal insignia ring to the Castle of the Crown guards. With all of his papers lost in the shipwreck,
I am
it is the
royalty
only
too.
possible calling card he can think of.
Good day. I'm Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm an acquaintance of Princess Cassima. If you could just inform her that I'm here, please.
So everyone says. Let me just look at that ring.
What does it say, Gruff?
Kingdom of Daventry, Prince Alexander. Wait here while I go see what Captain Saladin thinks of this.
Saladin. He's a border collie. Yeah, I think that's what they're called.
The guard returns a moment later with a majestic-looking creature. Captain Saladin speaks with a voice that is gentle, but reflects a will of iron.
Prince Alexander of Daventry, I presume. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your country, but I'm sure Vizier Alhazared will want to meet you, if indeed you are a friend of the princess. Please follow me.
We've come all this way. We gotta talk to Cassima.
Lord Alhazared, a visitor to see you. Prince Alexander of Daventry.
What is it that you seek, Prince Alexander?
Pardon the intrusion, my lord, but I came to see Princess Cassima. Some months ago, my father, King Graham, saved my family and I from imprisonment under an evil wizard named Mordak.
The same wizard that kidnapped the princess?
Exactly. When my father rescued us, he also liberated Cassima and sent her home.
Then your father has my gratitude, and that of the entire kingdom. But I'm afraid I still fail to see the purpose of your visit.
Well, I came to make sure that Cassima arrived safely and to pay my respects. Before we parted, she gave me an invitation to visit.
I have no doubt she did exactly that at the time, Prince Alexander. However, things have greatly changed for Cassima since her ordeal in Mordak's castle.
Oh?
Cassima's parents both became ill and died while she was gone. Cassima is sequestered in mourning for them as befits a princess. She is not receiving visitors of any kind. Even if she were, I do not think your visit would be appropriate. You see, it is time for Cassima to take her responsibilities seriously. With her parents gone, she no longer has the luxury to be a carefree maiden. As was her parents' wish, Cassima and I are to be wed. We shall rule the kingdom together. I assure you, our marriage is all Cassima wants now. As a prince and a gentleman, it would be best that you leave before there is any further embarrassment.
I see. I suppose that I was mistaken. I thought for certain that Cassima... Well, I apologize.
A young man sees what he wishes to see. I'm sorry you've wasted your time traveling to the land of the Green Isles. May your journey home be swift.
Perhaps I will take the opportunity
like
to look
his
around
tone.
your fair land while I'm here.
I would advise against that. The
I'm
kingdom
tone policing.
is rather, shall we say, inhospitable these days. But it is your neck. You may risk it if you please. Captain Saladin will escort you from the castle. Good day.
You have had your hearing with Vizier Alhazred. I trust you will respect his wishes and not return. I have been instructed not to let you into the castle again. Good day, my lord.
Captain Saladin whispers something to the guard dogs at the castle gate, and they nod with understanding. Alexander has a feeling they won't be letting him into the castle again.
Maybe not. Alright, so... let's go to the village, the little town. Now, as you can see, the difference between the animation style between this and 7 that I played is quite different. This is kind of how all the King's Quest styles were, like animation-wise, before 7.
Old lamps for new. Old lamps for new.
Okay.
Alexander is standing on a sunny village street. There are open shops to his right, a hard-packed path beneath his feet, and palm trees waving over his head.
My knee's
To the
trying go
north,
sleep.
a key-shaped arch leads to another part of the village.
Let's go to the pawn shop. See what they have.
Good day.
Good day. Let's talk to you.
Good day, merchant. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I can tell you she is in a dark time. Without the ferry, communication between the islands has ground to a halt, and so nearly has my business. Why the long ages of peace have ended, and why the crown has not done something about it is beyond me. But then, I am a shopkeeper, not a politician, and can only hope for better days.
Okay. Will you talk to me about it?
How abide you, good merchant?
Quite well, though a purchase would not hurt me any.
What do you have?
The pawn shop's counter is made of a sturdy teak. The wood is well worn by eager hands and well oiled by the shop's faithful keeper.
Okay, that's not what I wanted.
Alexander takes a closer look at the items on the counter.
Okay.
An elegant little glass dish decorates the countertop. The dish is full of green mints offered for the enjoyment of the customer. Alexander takes a mint.
Okay. Let's go to Allie's books. Allie.
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
Hi, let's talk to you.
Good day, sir. I'm a stranger in this land. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
That is quite a question, young man. Who are you, and what would you have me tell you?
My name is Alexander. I know I'm on the Isle of the Crown, but I'd like to know whatever you can tell me about this island, and if there are other islands nearby.
You are indeed a stranger. Anxious is the man who knows not the customs of the land beneath his feet. This island is called the Isle of the Crown, because the royal family's castle is here. Besides the castle, we also have this village, and the docks over to the west. There are at least 3 other islands: the Isle of the Sacred Mountain, the Isle of the Beast, and the Isle of Wonder.
At least 3? Does no one know for certain?
This is no ordinary land, Alexander. The land of the Green Isles has always been a place of vague boundaries, as if islands come and go. Legend speaks of a 4th island, an isle shrouded in mists. I myself have never seen it. Then, too, the land of the Green Isles is said to exist on the boundaries of this world and the next. Even darker places are reputed to be closer here than anywhere else in the world.
That's quite a claim.
Claim, yes, but probably just local superstition. We who live here on the Isle of the Crown, at least, sleep well enough at night.
Those first 3 islands you mentioned, how might I learn more about them?
Ideally, a young man seeking such knowledge would travel to their shores and learn about them firsthand. Meeting the leaders of each place would be helpful, naturally. Unfortunately, the ferry no longer runs between the islands. There has been much political unrest, and it has been too dangerous to travel for years. Perhaps the ferryman can tell you more. He has little enough to do these days. And if you haven't been there already, you might seek an audience at the castle.
Thank you kindly, merchant, for all your good advice.
Oh, I've already been to the castle.
Ah, but advice is free, Alexander. Making use of it costs much more.
Okay. So let's look around.
An antique leather-bound book is displayed on a little stand on the counter. On the elaborate cover is the title, Ye Useful Book of Magic Spells.
Okay.
An old man occasionally steals sidelong glances at Alexander from under a concealing hood. There's a book entitled The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages on the small table in the reading area. It appears that some regular customer likes that book. Volumes of poetry are on display on this bookshelf. Thinking of Cosima, Alexander decides to leaf through one of the volumes of love poetry. He reads, "Thy hair, thy lips, thy beauteous face, and all thy studied female grace have won for thee anon a place within this broken breast." Not bad. And another. "Upon the shore the lilies bend, untouched by worldly care, where shadow they her earthly bed, oh, that she were not there." Yikes. And another. "What was it when I looked at you? What power has chained me through and binds my heart with links so tight I cannot live without the sight of you? What nameless thing has captured me and made me powerless to flee? What thing is it without a name that brings my mind e'er back the same to thee?
I know
The
what
name
it
of
is.
love cannot apply. Its commonness does not decry the haunted, hunted, painful cry that my heart makes for you, that e'er my soul eternal makes for you."
A little close to home, that one.
Alexander returns the love poem book to the shelf.
Well.
Alexander picks up the fallen page. It's the love poem he particularly liked. It must have fallen out of the poetry book.
I see that old volume has lost another page. You may keep it if you like, sir. I have glued the stubborn thing back in place 2 times already.
I do rather like it. Thank you, merchant.
Love. Talk to you. You weirdo over here.
Good day, sir.
The mysterious old man just ignores Alexander.
Rude.
Alexander picks up the book from the small table.
Oh, yes, please, take that book. You have my most humble thanks for doing so, good sir.
Really? Thanks.
Okay, I'm leaving. Cool. Let's go this way.
You lazy thing! Get back to work and stay away from those roses! I've told you 1,000,000 times, those flowers are too sweet for the likes of you! You've still got to do the breakfast dishes, make lunch, and clean the stables yet this morning! And get your veil back on! No one wants to look at your face!
Yes, stepmother.
Cinderella.
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
No, your eye glints. No.
Come on, jump in. A little water won't hurt you.
Piss off.
What are you waiting for? I said I'd show you how to get to the next island, didn't I?
Not falling for that.
That's strange. The young boy in the water just disappeared. Oh well, perhaps he just dove under the water.
Perhaps.
Yeah, what do you want?
Alexander promises him.
Excuse me. My name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if you have a moment.
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why. The ferry's not running, you know.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the islands if you don't mind.
So we know
Well,
that
I
there's
guess
at least
it'd be
4
all right
islands.
if Allie sent you. Well, don't just stand there. Come on inside. What is it you wanted to talk about, young man?
The chair does not respond.
I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what I can about the area.
So you said outside. What is it you want to know?
Well, for one thing, why has the island's only ferry been dry docked?
Huh. It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir Al-Hazred ordered the ferry closed till things settled down. Me, I don't think she'll ever see water again.
But why are the islands feuding?
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame. Things used to be so friendly.
Then this unrest is recent.
A few years is all, but it's been long enough.
Perhaps if the ferry were repaired.
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even seaworthy. Her boards have dry rot. She'd fall apart at the first taste of seawater.
But there must be some way to get off this island.
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more about that than I can, Alexander.
Okay. Anything
Tell
else?
me more about the ferry.
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Cosima themselves. There was no thought of danger back then. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip. Things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cosima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading these lies, she asked the Queen, but the Queen had no answer.
What do you do now that the ferry no longer operates?
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations. I'm the only one trained to avoid the reef and the rocks. But that knowledge does me no good now.
Is there no other boat on the island? One that might be more seaworthy?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or was, the only craft on the island.
Okay.
Tell me more about Princess Cosima.
Ah, such a beautiful child. And
There's
so
a bunch of
pure
background
of heart.
information, but it
Why,
has to be
a
done to
contrary
progress.
thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen, they served the islands, not the other way around, always thinking about the people. They are sorely missed.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
Okay.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately, you can't get very far onto the island.
Okay.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see. If you ever get to see them, that is.
Okay.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty.
That's where
She's
we're
the
at.
finest palace ever built, I'll warrant.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world to the next.
The
Of
edge of
course,
the
that's
world.
just silly talk.
The earth is flat, guys.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot.
Okay,
Big
so now he's just repeating. So what is this?
There's a rabbit's foot on the table. It seems the ferryman is counting on a little luck.
Will you make some more coffee? Will you make some more coffee? Please? Okay. I don't remember if that works.
Would you
on
be
him.
interested in this ring?
I don't need charity. I won't take nothing from no man till I get back in business and...
I see you have a rabbit's foot. Has it brought you much luck?
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now, despite that old charm. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn thing away will bring me good fortune at last.
Perhaps it will at that.
I need it. Thank you.
Well, I think I'll be going now. Thanks for allowing me into your home.
Posh, not at all.
Posh.
It breaks the boredom, if you know what I mean.
So he did tell me to go back to Ali and ask him about a magic map. Ali.
Good day again. How may I help you?
An odd-looking man is reading in the stuffed chair. He wears a vest, balloon-style pants, and pointed shoes. There's something deliberately silly about the man, as though he were a performer of some sort.
Who are you? Tell me
Good
his
day,
voice
sir.
sounds familiar.
Is there anything you can tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I'm sorry, but I have no time for idle conversation. I'm too worried about the princess.
Who is that?
How fare you, merchant?
Sufficiently well, thank you, Alexander. My only wish is for more time to read.
How fare you?
Quite well.
No. How do I get him to talk to me about it? I don't remember.
Alexander has a love poem from a book and
That's right, okay.
that would serve no purpose. While the bookshop does not...
How fare you?
Quite well.
So you're not
Excuse me again, sir. You mentioned the princess.
I told you I'm not interested in talking to strangers.
I'm not a stranger.
Determined to learn more about the strange man's relationship with the princess, Alexander shows the man his insignia ring and formally introduces himself.
I'm sorry to insist, but my name is Alexander of Daventry, and...
I appreciate the offer of the ring, Alexander, but I'm afraid I'm already spoken. Daventry? Where have I heard of Daventry? Flying flit mice. You must be Prince Alexander. Cassima told me about you when she arrived home. How came you here?
Why, by a ship now wrecked upon the sand. But you know Cassima? She truly spoke of me?
Yes, I saw her briefly when she first returned home. She mentioned a prince to me, the Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm afraid that was before she was told about her parents' deaths. You see, she arrived home a few weeks too late. The king and queen thought they'd never see her again. It is said they died of heartbreak. I'm afraid she's blamed herself.
What a terrible homecoming. If we had only known.
Terrible indeed, poor thing. Everyone in the kingdom seems to despair with her these days. The streets are silent.
Where is she now?
The princess is sequestered in mourning. It's a rather dated tradition, and not required, but the Wazir says she insisted out of respect.
I see. You've yet to say who you are, and how you know the princess.
I? Oh, pardon me. My name is Charlo. I am clown to the royal court, and have been since the marriage of Casima's parents, King Calipham and Queen Alaria. Oh, those were the happy days. The pair of them were so full of joy and life, so in love. And Casima's birth. It would be hard to explain how long they had waited, how they had hoped for a child. I mean, she was such a charming little thing, smart as a whip, kind and sweet. Oh, she means everything to this kingdom, Alexander, and to me. I'm so terribly worried about her.
About her grief over her parents, you mean?
Well, the truth is, I do not trust the Wazir or his plans for Casima. I'm still living at the Castle of the Crown as court clown, his clown. But it is more to keep my ear to the ground than out of loyalty. I wish I knew what the princess thinks these days. If only I could find Sing Sing, Casima's pet nightingale. I might be able to send the princess a message. As it is, I must wait for the end of her seclusion. Now I'm afraid I must hurry back to the castle. I'll try to return to the bookshop again later.
Thank you for speaking with me, Jallo. I hope we meet again soon.
Alright, so he told us that she's got a nightingale. Sing Sing. Will you tell me about
How fare you, merchant?
Quite well, thank
you. No!
Good day.
Excuse me, merchant, but the ferryman mentioned that you might have a magic map of the land of the Green Isles.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. I keep it under the counter. It's been gathering dust so long that I nearly forgot about it. It was quite a few years ago, you see. The estate of a wealthy wizard fell into my hands when he died. It was useless magical junk mostly, which reminds me, I've still got some things of his in the back that I need to dump out. Anyway, the magic map was the one true treasure in the lot. The wizard was quite old and feeble and had enchanted the map to aid in traveling. It is said that one need only desire to be on an island depicted on the map to find oneself there. It is a very valuable map, as you can imagine. Unfortunately, no one is interested in traveling these days. It is far too dangerous with the current state of the kingdom.
What would you take for the map?
I would normally want something magic in return, but since I am hardly overrun with prospective buyers, I would be willing to take anything of equal value in exchange.
I don't think he takes the coin.
Alexander doesn't want to do...
He's gonna take the ring.
Would you be willing to take my family ring in exchange for the magic map?
Daventry, are you a king then?
No, that's my father, King Graham. I'm just Alexander.
Well, Prince Alex, she is a beautiful ring. Are you sure you can part with such a unique family heirloom?
The ring does mean a lot to me. I didn't always have a family, you know. Still, it is only gold. There are more important things at stake now.
Then you now own a magic map, Prince Alex. I will keep your ring out of sight for a few days. If you find anything else of great value in your travels, you can come back for your ring. I would hate to see it melted down for gold. Ah, and a warning about the map. It will only operate when you are out in the open and within sight of the sea. The limitation has something to do with the teleport spell ingredients. You might try the beach.
Thank you. You are very kind. And I'll remember about the map.
Okay.
Suddenly, the old man in the concealing cloak sneaks past Alexander, and with a sneaky dart of his hand, steals a mint from the candy jar. The old man stuffs the mint into his mouth and wobbles unsteadily out of the pawn shop.
Seconds later in the castle.
Master! I followed Prince Alexander as you wished. From the pawn shop owner, he just abstained.
It's the genie.
Just reprieved. He just got a magic map.
I didn't mean to.
You fool. You've been eating those mints again. I ordered you to stop that. Yes.
So they make him drunk.
Now, what is this about a magic map? With a map, Prince Alexander could travel anywhere as quickly as I can. I thought I took care of the only means of travel. By my scimitar, I can't have him stirring things up now. Get a hold of yourself and listen carefully, Shamir. Go to the other islands and tell them...
Thank you. Okay, so... Alhazred, not a good guy. And he sends his genie, Shamir, to watch me. His genie has a glint in his eye. That's why we didn't want to follow the little boy in the water. Okay, so we have a magic map. Let us look at the items on the
Alexander takes
counter.
a closer look at the items on the counter.
A tinder box, a paintbrush, a flute, and a bird. Let's do the bird.
I'm interested in that mechanical nightingale on the counter.
Nightingale.
What do you desire to give me in trade? The items on the front counter are all of equally slight value, worth only a copper or two. They are handy items nonetheless.
Okay. What about my currency? I have some currency.
I have this copper coin. Is it of any value to you at all?
Most interesting. I have never seen a Daventry coin before, but it is copper genuine enough. I might even find a buyer who is interested in foreign currency. The items on the front counter are the only things in the store that I can let go for the price of 1 copper. You may make your choice from there.
Okay.
Alexander looks at the items on the counter to make his selection.
Let's go with the nightingale, because Jallo had mentioned a nightingale too.
That mechanical nightingale looks intriguing. I believe I'll take it.
Very well. Your coin is well spent. Remember, this is a pawn shop. I am always willing to take back my own goods in trade.
Trade.
I'll remember. Thank you.
Okay. Alright. So we have a magic map. Lamp guy is gone. Let's go to the beach. There's a bird there.
A nightingale perches on a high branch of the tree. She sings the most beautiful song Alexander has ever heard. Alexander winds the mechanical nightingale and places it on the ground. The mechanical nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The real nightingale in the tree cocks her head and listens intently. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously, as if she were deciding that this human might not be so bad.
Okay. So we got her to come lower down on the branch. Alright. That works for me. Let's speed this up.
Alexander pulls out his magic map.
Let's go to the Isle of Wonder.
Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Okay, so...
A string of letters floats in the water. The letters spell out, "Where are you going?" Alexander's heard of alphabet soup, but this is ridiculous.
Haha.
One of the oysters is sitting up in bed and doesn't look very happy. He seems to be the only one who can't sleep. In the oyster's mouth, Alexander can see a glint of white.
Okay.
Why aren't you asleep like the other oysters?
Oh, I'm so weary, but I can't sleep. I have a terrible ache in my mouth.
If you're having trouble sleeping, perhaps you'd like me to read to you.
Hey, that would be great.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of grouse geese, put over the result of 10 fine mackles, albeit small fine mackles, stretched over the total of 53 1/8 bottles of wild beast lard, yields a gilded minnow of precise measurements, 2,069 centidrills by 3,023 6/7 puns, not punts, as might be expected. This is not to say, however, in any sense whatsoever, that deviations in mean temperature of 5 or 6 dregs or so.
Alexander sees nothing of interest on that part of the oyster.
Indicate a fabrication or derivation sufficiently broad enough to exacerbate the conclusions uncovered in due course with regards to the dimensions, consistency, mass, or thickness inherent in the menial suckling grouse.
Alexander makes a grab for the pearl.
Hey, you fixed my mouth. It feels great.
Ah, the little oyster drifts into
Hey,
peaceful
Shay.
slumber with the rest of his oyster friends.
How are you doing today?
There's no point in you. Alexander pulls out his magic map.
Oh, I'm Peachy Keen. I'm not playing the game that I wanted to play today, but this is a backup.
Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander takes the feather. Alexander picks the flower and is startled by its hideously strong skunk-like odor. For a moment he can smell nothing else.
Huh.
There appears to be something etched into the face of the cliff. Alexander decides to get closer.
Ignorance kills, wisdom elevates. Now, the, when you used to buy these games, they used to come with like a manual and it would have like tips and tricks. Well, this particular one had some kind of page or something that helps you with these puzzles on the Isle of the Sacred Mountain. And it took forever because we didn't realize that when we played this. And it took us forever to figure out these puzzles by pretty much trial and error alone. And so it was terrible. And when it comes, you know, we'll do this at a later time, but it was awful.
The rock has been...
7 more episodes.
Oh no! You're almost, it's almost over.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. A pond lies across the path. The water boils as if over some magical flame. An old abandoned hunter's lamp is hanging on one of the trees. Alexander wonders who might have hunted in these dense woods.
So we can't go very far here, so we gotta turn around and go back.
You looking like a snack.
Thank you, Media Nurse.
Alexander pulls out his magic map.
It doesn't show the green, though.
No, because it's called a green screen. That's the thing.
Alright,
Technology.
so... Wait a minute. What do we have? Okay. I guess
Alexander pulls out his magic map.
Go back to the Isle of the Crown. Where we originally
Alexander
were.
feels a strange pulling sensation.
Yeah, I did my makeup today.
Didn't do mine though.
No, I didn't. I didn't do Rican's today. Now 6. Oh no.
A large round pot is one of the pottery pieces on display outside the shops.
What's in it?
Alexander sorts through the odds and ends that the pawn shop owner dumped into the pot. Magic exploding gum wrappers, a shattered crystal ball, a cracked wand, a fake thumb. Near the bottom, Alexander finds a little glass bottle labeled ink. It appears to be empty, but Alexander decides to take it anyway. You never know when a small bottle will come in handy.
Ink. You have no patience for makeup. That was me yesterday. I finished out the other game yesterday, and I was just like, no makeup Monday, guys. I'm sorry. It wasn't going to be a very long stream. I knew that it wasn't going to be. And so I was just like, I'm not doing makeup for
Alexander's
that.
carrying a little ink bottle. It appears to be empty.
But I know that I needed to do another Rice Girl picture, so I went ahead and put my makeup on, and then I was like, well, I might as well stream. But I wanted to stream a Nancy Drew game, but Rican's got to figure out how to get it to work on the computer because it's an older one, and so yeah. So this was a backup. It's Riken's fault. I'm blaming Riken. He says to blame him, so I'm blaming him. Okay. Let's go.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
My cafe is hot. Okay. So let's go that way.
Alexander hears someone coming.
"5 fierce guards of the isle we be. Watch for a foreign man," said he, "with ears and nose, tongue, hands, and eyes. Its nature cannot be disguised. If man it be, then man it dies."
Hey.
"Old Tantro, smell your smell. Do that which you do so well."
Yeah, I know you ain't shooting them up. Now get your ass moving, girl.
Alexander holds the flower of stench out to the gnome with the jumbo nose.
Media nurse, what's up?
Media nurse has been...
Tantro I am, that's all I'll be. My nose knows all on land and
They're
sea.
gnomes, Media. I figured you'd love
A
them.
flower stench has washed ashore. A flower 'tis all, and nothing more.
I gotta trick them. Because I can't be a guy. Like, I can't... They were warned that a guy could come over.
Do your duty as you swore. With your ears, please tell us more.
Okay. So, let's use our nightingale.
Alexander winds the tin nightingale and plays it for the gnome with the monumental ears.
They're the 5 senses.
A nose is not a way to spy. My ears cannot be told a lie. A nightingale is all there be. No man is near, and so say me.
Okay. So the first one thought we were a flower.
Taste, grump, that we might know whether friend or whether foe.
Taste. Mint that makes you drunk.
Alexander holds the mint out for the gnome with the gigantic mouth.
Grump knows a tasty treat. It matters not what others bleat. No danger is this one so sweet.
Okay.
Trilly dilly, use your hands. Is it beast or is it man?
Alexander holds the rabbit foot out for the gnome with the huge hands.
Be all you mad? What aileth thee? A bunny can't trill merrily. A hare does not at all taste sweet. A rabbit here is all we greet.
Right.
Old Bill Batter, never fatter. Vision can resolve this matter. Look you now and end this chatter.
Alexander pours the contents of the empty-looking ink bottle over himself.
Invisible ink.
By all that's beauteous, fair, and sightly, 4 morons do I sleep with nightly. There's nothing there at all, I say. Enough of this. Let's now away.
We fooled them. Wazir al-Hazred warned them, and we fooled them.
Alexander did it. He's fooled the guards.
All right. And that thing he washed ashore. That
Alexander
sentence.
doesn't want to taste the salty.
No.
Alexander picks up the object floating in the water. It appears to be a string of letters. They say, "Where are you going?" Alexander decides to keep the odd sentence, even though it is incomplete.
Grammatically incomplete. All right.
Hey, hands off the goods there, son.
Oh, sorry.
This is like a bad acid trip media.
Hey, hands off the goods there, son.
Oh,
Can I give you...
There's no reason to use that on
No.
Wow. Hiya, gorgeous. Oh, what a luscious-looking hunk of flesh you are.
thank you, I guess. Who are you?
How charming of you to pretend not to know.
These are
I'm
very
Black
fairy
Widow,
tale-esque.
of course. The femme fatale of all femme fatales. Know what I mean? You know, I was just thinking it was time I found my 50th, another husband. It would be quite a horror, I mean, an honor to have me as a bride.
Yes.
Just look at my beautiful weaving. It's so light, so delicate. You'll never want to leave my little nest.
It is a lovely web, but my heart is elsewhere, I'm afraid.
Oh, drat! I mean, the loss is yours. I'm sure you'll change your mind once you consider the advantages.
Hey, don't touch that thread!
Alexander snatches the scrap of parchment, curious to see what's written on it. The wind blows the scrap of paper from Alexander's hand, but he remembers what it said well enough.
Love. What do you want? Yeah. Okay.
A tough old log lies to the left of the path. Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush.
Don't bark at me.
Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. Alexander takes a close look at the tomato in the ground. It appears to be darker than those on the vines.
What are you staring at there, boy? Go away, you rootless thing, you! Yeah.
That'll be okay.
Yep, that tomato is definitely rotten.
Hey, what do you think you're doing there? Get your hands off me! Hey!
Alexander picks up rotten tomato and puts him away. One never knows when one will need a rotten tomato. Unless Alexander is mistaken, those plants must be baby's tears. Alexander doesn't want to pick.
Baby's tears.
Alexander is standing in a delectable garden. Nestled in the bright green grass are
Oreo
colorful
pie's
plants growing in orderly clusters. Some of their curious faces peer up at Alexander from the sides of the path. The garden ends at a speckled gate.
It's not what I wanted, but okay, thank you, Mr. Narrator.
Is that lettuce growing in the garden? It looks a little chilled. Why, it must be iceberg lettuce.
Iceberg lettuce, yeah. It's cold.
Alexander picks a head of iceberg lettuce.
Ye gads! Is that cold?
Cute.
A colorful array of snapdragons stand guard to one side of the path.
What are you?
Alexander decides to pick up the hole in the wall. A hole in the wall could be a very useful thing. Alexander startled the poor thing. It's run off to hide behind the wallflowers.
Great. All right, well.
Make an Oreo pie. I love Oreo pie. Bullshit, I want Oreo.
Checkmate! Only chess pieces allowed in chessboard land. That's right. Humans aren't allowed in and never will be. Stay out!
I must insist, Your Highness. I shall send the lump of coal to the Vizier and the Princess as a present for their wedding. And that's the end of it.
And I suppose you'll leave me with only this stupid spoiled egg to send, Your Highness. I want to impress the
I would
new
be
king
too.
and queen of the realm as much as you do. As queen of this island, I have every right to that lump of coal.
Who isn't queen of this isle? The lump of coal is in my possession. Therefore, I shall do as I please with it. Besides, there's nothing wrong with that spoiled egg.
I had Belgium.
Egg, though delightfully spoiled, is not nearly so valuable as the lump of coal, and you know it. Your Highness always got to carry the singing stone. It's not fair that you get the coal, too.
That doesn't count. The singing stone was stolen by that horrid beast. I should get to keep the coal just because my stone was stolen.
It wasn't your stone. It belonged to the Isle of Wonder treasury. Your Highness always thinks that everything is hers.
Excuse me, my good man, but could you settle an argument for us?
Which of us should get to carry the coal and which the egg? Remember, white is the color of deserving truth and virtue.
Quiet, Your Highness, and let him make up his own mind. I, for one, shall be more proper, and not even mention the fact that red is the color of love.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Majesties. I'm partial to both red and white, but I'm afraid that I don't know how to solve your problem. One of you will just have to be gracious and allow the other the lump of coal.
What a ridiculously stupid idea.
Quite ludicrous.
He was a lot of help, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. Obviously a man of high intelligence. The lump of coal goes much better with my gown anyway. Black and red are imperial colors.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard. Red does not go with anything, being much too self-conscious. White is the perfect accompaniment to any color.
These two.
Alexander picks up the Red Queen's scarf.
Okay. Hole in the wall. Let's see.
Alexander pulls out his magic map.
Let's see what kind of shenanigans we can get into. Let's go to the Isle of Beasts.
Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Iceberg lettuce.
Hoping to cool down the boiling pond, Alexander throws in a head of iceberg lettuce. The pond's water slowly stops boiling, cooled by the ice. It still looks hot, but bearable. Alexander decides to brave the steaming pond.
Ouch! Ow! Ooh, 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 ouch!
The pond is no longer boiling, but it's hardly bathwater. Alexander takes the old hunter's lamp from the tree. As Alexander continues down the path, he gets the strange feeling that he's being watched.
Come on over here and see what I'm doing with these flowers. Never mind that stone fella on top of the gate. He won't hurt you any. He's just there to scare you.
Nope, he's got a glint in his eye.
You aren't gonna listen to me, are you?
No.
Well, we'll just see about that.
That's odd. The gardener just
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah, he's the genie. He's got a glint in his eye. He tries to kill us. Okay, well, we can't go any further. So let's go. Where's the candy? Yeah. That's about
Alexander
right.
pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Let's go to the Isle of the Crown. All right.
There's no reason to use that. There's no Alexander shows the object to the bird, hoping to interest her. The little bird just ruffles her feathers at the sight of that large, brightly colored scarf.
Nope. Okay. And I don't think she'll take anything else, so...
Giallo, how fare you? And what news have you from the castle?
Prince Alex, how I fare is close to boiling. Have you seen the wedding proclamations around the village? I've heard rumors of the wedding, of course, but I didn't want to believe it, and I never thought it would be so soon.
Cosima. Married. Oh, it is an unpleasant thing to swallow, friend. If only I knew Cosima wished it. Tell me about the Wazir, Giallo.
The Wazir? Now there's a dangerous subject. His name is Abdul al-Hazred. He came to the kingdom 15 years ago. The king was fascinated by his knowledge and his fine-sounding ideas. It didn't take long for al-Hazred to convince the king to trust him with the minor problems of daily government. You see, Caliph had a wife and a new daughter he wanted to spend time with. Al-Hazred became Wazir.
And now?
Well, he's had his eye on Cosima ever since she was a young girl. And she is the only thing between him and the throne.
Do you think he means to harm her?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I think he'd rather keep her as wife. But whatever his plans for the princess, he will use her to his best advantage. That's his way.
Perhaps he has charmed her. Perhaps she cares for him now.
The Wazir is capable of anything. And Cosima must be vulnerable and lonely right now. Still, she has always instinctively distrusted him. Cosima has a good head on her shoulders. I'd be surprised if she's truly fallen for his words of love. I must return to the castle, Prince Alex, and you to your wanderings. May we both fare well.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's talk to Ellie.
How fare you, merchant?
See if he says anything.
Sufficiently well, thank you, Alexander. My only wish is for more time to read.
Okay. He says nothing.
Your candy dish is empty.
I am sorry, sir, but I have no more mints. Somebody has eaten them all.
Well, get some more then.
I fear that is impossible. Without the ferry, I can no longer get imports from the other islands, and we do not grow mint extract on the Isle of the Crown.
Oh, I hate not getting what I want.
All right.
How fare you, good merchant?
A man my age can only thank the heavens for continued strength, young sire.
Okay. Let's see.
The counter feels as
No,
smooth.
I don't want that.
The pawn shop's counter is There's no reason to... The pawn... There's no... The counter feels... Alexander takes a closer look at the items on the counter.
Which do I want?
Might I trade for that flute on the counter?
Certainly. What do you wish to offer me in trade?
Your nightingale back.
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please, choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I want the flute.
I'll take the flute.
The flute? Very good, Prince Alex. May its music always be sweet. Feel free to trade it back at any time.
Thank you.
Alright. Let's go back to the Isle of Wonder. Now that we have the flute,
Alexander pulls out his magic map.
we may be able to get the hole in the wall. Uh-oh. What happened? Rican. What? Come here.
What?
It just left.
Where's the candy? Did it save?
No, it doesn't save.
What do you mean it doesn't save?
I have to save it. It just got out.
It just closed from what I'm seeing here. Double click the damn thing.
What, this?
Yeah, the game.
Well, shit.
When's the last time you saved?
I didn't.
The fuck you mean you didn't?
Fuck. Alright, well, I'm done.
I mean, it just like legitimately closed out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's never. None of your other games have done that, so I don't know why this one would.
Alright, well.
You go to restore. I mean.
I didn't save,
Just.
Louis. I told you.
That sucks. That's why you're
Anyway.
supposed to save often.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't think that it would just close.
Neither did I. I mean, for it to do that shit.
So I'll have to replay the whole damn thing and then come back at a later stream. Fuck.
That sucks. It's definitely me.
Alright, well guys, I'm done. Because I've been streaming for how long?
You've been live for. If you grab this, that's right. Move it over. Like, make it big. You've been live for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. For me to replay that, I can replay it, but I'll have to do it at a later date and just pick up later, which sucks.
I'll make her speed run it and save it a lot.
I don't have to save it a lot. I know what I'm doing.
I'm just saying save the damn game, because you never know.
But anyway, guys, that's King's Quest 6, and I'll pick it up later. I'm just pissed off now. So, DOSBox closed, and it closed the entire game.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'll see if there's a problem with DOSBox on the computer.
So, alright guys, that'll be the stream for the day from me, I think. See you later, Media Nurse. I'll just leave it like I always do.